He never gives up, he'll stay till the fight's won. G.I. Joe will dare. G.I. Joe! G.I. Joe!
Hey everybody, and welcome back to episode 3 of Knowing is Half the Podcast, your G.I. Joe podcast show experience, cartoon thing. Did I say that right? Did I get that right?
Sounds good to me.
Nailed
Okay.
it.
I'm Ray Stacanis.
Robert Chan.
Gina Ippolito.
And we're going to talk a little bit more about Pyramid of Darkness today.
3 cubes to darkness.
3 cubes to. Okay. Is this like a Han Solo thing? Where it's like I made the Kessel Run in 12 parsecs. Are they confusing time with shapes? I guess.
No. I think it means that they have 3 more cubes to go until there's darkness.
I would say, Chan, it's even more literal than you probably think. 3 cubes to darkness means that in this episode, we will get 3 cubes closer to darkness. 3 cubes to darkness.
Yeah.
It's pretty literal.
Darkness. 1 darkness is equal to 4 cubes, right?
That's correct.
So.
Yeah.
So we're now 3 cubes closer, meaning we have... Well, hold on, I'll get this.
36
Like, it could be anything. We have cubes left, is my point.
Multiply that with Coheed and Cambria. Okay, no, I'm on board. I got it. I know where we are now.
Wow, I think that's the first time in 3 episodes Chan said the word "I'm on board" in regards to this podcast.
Not easy for me to admit.
That's fair enough. So this episode was pure joy. I just want to preface everything by saying, like, I watched it a couple of times, and the first time I watched it, I was like, nothing that remarkable, nothing really,
Really? You
didn't really have an impact
nothing?
on me. And then I went back and rewatched it again for the purposes of the podcast. And I found I have more notes for this episode than I've ever had for any episode before.
Really? Wow.
A lot happened is all I'm trying to say. I feel very strongly about a lot of things I didn't realize I felt strongly about until I started needing to feel strongly about them.
It's interesting that you say nothing that remarkable happened since we open in pink mud that's boiling hot.
I'm
and
sorry.
clear.
Did you say? Yeah, thank you. It's not just pink mud. You can. Yeah, they go under the mud.
Underwater, and they can see, and it's clear.
It's clear.
It's clearer.
Of
than
course,
a
you
swimming
can
pool.
see each other.
It is clearer than a swimming pool.
This is the physics of the cartoon universe right here. Now, I like the fact that Destro is like shooting his gun at them, and he stops mid-firefight to just put his gun down and start laughing. Like, that's a supervillain I can, like, get around.
He was just like, okay, I need the proper space and mobility to do this, so I want my hands clear.
Just got to step back and just let it out, because he's my hero in this episode, I was going to say.
He should be your hero every episode.
I'm not going to lie, he kind of is. So Destro says something weird about this, because he says, once we get the cube in place, no force on Earth can dislodge it. Mm-hmm. Well, it's like on an ice floe. Couldn't they just, like, global warming that away or something? Like, why is it suddenly stuck in time?
Who are you talking about?
Destro.
Right. No, it's not on an ice floe. It's on the ground.
Or excuse me, the other ones are on the ice floe. The Major Blood one's on the ice floe. I'm just thinking to myself, if the logic of the cubes is no force can dislodge it once the computations are down, like, they're all on solid ground or other things that can go away.
I mean, you're talking about over centuries. They didn't know about global warming in 1983.
I guess that's true. Didn't they, Gina? Didn't they?
Well, I would say the Cobra probably did.
Cobra
probably caused it.
Yeah.
Let's face it.
A fact.
So Flint and Lady J are under the pink mud of doom.
Yep.
Where
And-
they can perfectly talk and see.
Yes.
Hold on. Are we talking about the magical arrow yet?
Not yet.
The javelin bubble. No, but to be fair, of course they can communicate with each other. We established early on in the G.I. Joe universe of physics, everybody can communicate with everybody else regardless of surface area,
that's
distance,
right.
radio frequencies.
Maybe that's the true message of G.I. Joe, is
Yeah.
that if we try hard enough, we can all communicate regardless of race, country, creed, distance,
Yep.
The physical world, reality.
We can all join together to shoot lasers at each other.
Yes.
I think that's a beautiful message.
Super powerful lasers that do no damage whatsoever.
Yeah.
So I'll let you guys. So then a javelin becomes a bubble, and then they just breathe air.
It's a solid glass-like bubble.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're in mud. So I think if
Allegedly.
you create enough air pressure, you could create sort of a thing because of the pressure from the mud coming down on you. If you generate enough atmospheres going out from this arrow, which is specifically designed for submersible mud action, then you will
Stop trying to
create
justify this insanity.
But wouldn't it just be full of pink slime? I mean, maybe I'll just ask the dumb guy question here. If you just create the bubble in the slime, you couldn't create air. You'd create a vacuum and explode yourself. yourselves,
well,
right?
surely there is compressed air in this air javelin.
Listen, there are more important things to talk about here, which is they're flirting.
Oh,
Hello.
I thought they were already banging, and apparently they're only now starting to date.
I think like they're flirting in a magical bubble under mud that is lava-like.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And I think this is the beginning.
This has to be. I thought they were already I think you nailed it a couple episodes ago where you said, I don't think they're dating yet. And I completely disagreed. And I was wrong. I got to just put it out there.
I mean, a couple of things. One, the fact that it was their just general proximity that forces this sort of interaction and this awkwardness.
Forces the intimacy, Chan.
Yeah.
I mean, surely they have been in a cockpit somewhere together where they were this close before.
Chan, don't be gross. Don't be gross.
If not
in a bubble, though, because you're forced
a bubble's
to
more
be,
romantic.
Yeah, a bubble is super romantic. It leads to bubble boners.
They are being shot at and trying to be murdered.
But there's a thing of the solitude, and they couldn't really see probably too well, and they could only see each other for the first time. All distractions are gone in that
they
moment.
Need to bottle this fucking mud up and sell it as Spanish fly.
But then also they rise to the surface, and then I remember thinking, what's going to happen?
Also, the javelin has air jets too, because naturally
because they can see them. Yeah,
Chan, they were going to a place where there was going to be a whole lot of pink slime. Of course, you bring the bubble javelin with you. What, you might get stuck in.
You come prepared. So they go to the surface, and then half of the bubble sort of like just goes away. So they can still talk about it, or they can still like stand in it and talk in it, and then they're like, "Oh, this isn't weird at all." So the bubble floats to the top, and then half of it magically goes away, and the bottom is still there, solid as crap,
because it's continuing to push out the air flow.
Guys, I don't see a problem with this physically whatsoever.
But also, they just rise to the surface, like, right near the action.
Yeah, well, that's where they fell in, right near the action.
Yeah, but, like, go a little bit away, at least, so that no one's going to see you.
I'm sorry, you want steering controls on this arrow that also preserves their life underneath scalding hot mud. And
is that asking for too much?
Yes?
No.
Well, guys, let's just move along because we got back to ship. This is maybe the most amazing scene and the longest.
This is probably my favorite scene.
Shipwreck and Snake Eyes are now in the slums. They look around being like, this place is a shithole. I look around. Every person seems like they're dressed like they could be a member of G.I. Joe or Cobra. Like every single one of them has just a flamboyant outfit of some kind on that I look around and be like, that could be a Joe, that could be a Joe, that could be a Joe. Shipwreck goes in and he sees this bar, this nightclub, restaurant, whatever it is, and he suggests that they go. They're like, this place is as good as any. Let's go here and get something to eat. And then immediately walks in the door and turns to Snake Eyes and goes, nice place, Snake Eyes. Like, it was your idea, dick.
Isn't the place just called Snake?
It's called the Snake Cafe.
It's called the Snake
Cafe.
No. It's called the Snake Club.
Snake Club.
They call it the Snake Cafe. The guy and the announcer,
DJ.
But the animation actually says Snake Club.
So wait a minute. I'm going to justify this. It could be the Snake Club, but the little restaurant area is referenced as the Snake Cafe. Kind of like they put a Starbucks inside of a Barnes & Noble.
That's true.
That doesn't change either one from being what they are.
And also, it's like Sunday nights, the Snake Club becomes the Snake Cafe.
Yeah.
Where we have internationally known
that.
singer Satine.
By the way, as soon as they walked in, I had to rewind this 3 times because one guy in the back that's dancing in a yellow tank top looks like he was drawn with no face. And after watching it through 3 times, I deduced, like, it's possible that he was just totally bald and they were only showing the back of him.
Oh, maybe he was double jointed. And that could happen.
He was wearing a low-cut, like, yellow tank top, the kind that's low-cut in the back and in the front, so that's why it was confusing to me.
That's the 80s. That's definitely a thing.
Yes.
As you wear when you go out in 1985 to the Snake Club.
Can somebody explain to me what the joke is when he says maybe we can get something to eat here, like maybe a broken leg of lamb?
Broken leg of lamb.
Because he was saying like we might go in there and these ruffians shall break our legs.
Like, this is a place you go in to get into a fight with some heathen.
I thought that joke was pretty good.
The way they combined it didn't make a lot of sense.
No,
like I'm going to order a leg of lamb and then you're going to break it because you're being violent.
He's saying like he's putting together 2 things. He's saying like this is a place you would go to get a broken leg, but maybe we can get some food, like a broken leg of lamb. I enjoyed that joke.
I'll be honest, I was
thoroughly.
on board. I was on board with Shipwreck.
Oh, I see what you're saying. It's like a theme restaurant where like everything is like a Doctor Who reference. So this one would be like
Exactly.
a violence reference. I got a
Exactly.
broken leg
It's like
of
a
lam.
knuckle sandwich.
Or like-
A knuckle sandwich.
nice
There you go.
done. Yeah.
Or a tall glass of shut the fuck up.
black-eyed peas.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay.
So in this
Guys, we got to create this restaurant. That's
in
all I'm
this-
hearing.
in this ruffian bar, then there's all of a sudden a lovely 80s style singer lady, which
Hold
makes
on, we're not
sense.
even talking about the poor Mater D.
Yes.
These guys, these
Before we get to
assholes,
Satin.
these assholes
Oh.
with huge animals, mind you, long before service animals were allowed in restaurants. Also, Timberwolves, not a service animal.
Was not wearing the jacket
He keeps calling him
whatsoever.
a dog. He keeps calling it a dog.
Yeah, he is. He's being fucking polite because he's a Mater D. That's his job. But these people walk in and like, hey, give us a fucking table. It's like, no, you guys are jerks. Also, there's no room. And they're like, here, let me wave a 5 in your face.
Yeah, how much
Okay.
money was that? Because I rewound it,
I
I
thought-
froze framed it. I couldn't figure out what
I
bill
assumed
that
it
was.
was 100.
Really?
100.
But maybe I'm just a classy lady.
That's normally what your gentlemen callers tip their Mater D's
Oh yeah.
with.
But also, you're overlooking the fact that this is a ruffian bar. Like, why is there a Mater
There's a Mater D.
Why?
I mean, it's
Like,
to keep out the riffraff, obviously.
Like, of all the people
Okay.
that were in there,
hold on. The Joes think it's a ruffian bar. Frankly, I feel like they're being a little bit racist and definitely a lot classist. Most of my friends would hang out in a place like that.
To be fair, though, maybe the ruffian part is the Snake Club, but he's the Mater D for the Snake Cafe.
Right? You got to go into the fancier part.
You got to get, you got to get through the doorman. But I chalk it down to Shipwreck offering him a 20. Which I think 20 is the appropriate amount for, okay, I don't see a bird no more,
Right.
but I still see a dog.
Right. And then at that point, he grabs him as if he's going to beat him to a pulp.
Yes.
That's acceptable behavior.
I
have
that-
friends who are waiters, and I would not put up with that sort of behavior being dealt to them.
Look, I would also, if someone came in with a dog, I would be like, oh, that's really cute. Unfortunately, we don't allow dogs in here. I wouldn't be like, bleh, look at that, bleh, bleh. Like, he was anti-dog, and I am not on board with this Mater D.
I think it's more hypocritical that he says, this place, it looks like a ruffian bar, and then he's the only one starting shit in the entire bar.
Exactly.
He's threatening violence
Well,
right there.
He knows his animals are well-behaved, okay?
Except when Polly murdered 3 people last episode.
That's the truth.
Polly's the most stone-cold killer of the lot.
Polly didn't have much to do except for make theater puns this episode.
Polly is
In
well-read.
The most...
That is a fact.
The worst times and places possible. You're being hunted. You're trying to sneak away, and you got to break out Shakespeare right in the fucking middle of that.
Look, that's
The
what he's
top of
there
your
for.
volume.
You can't ask him a bird not to fly. That's what he's there for, man.
Stay for the puns.
He's there to make puns.
Well, that brings us to finally they get a seat right in front of the stage. Thankfully, it was still open. I mean, I'm assuming that's reserved for Destro or something.
Probably.
For Cobra Commander.
for Cobra Commander.
Who is a fan.
Apparently, and this is another thought I had. It's just like the bullying attitude. Like if somebody gives you shit in the Cobra organization, all apparently you have to say is that you know Destro or you know Cobra Commander, and then they suck your dick.
Yeah.
Like you don't even have to have any proof of it whatsoever.
Yeah.
I have an 8x10.
I have an 8x10 of
which
Cobra
you
Commander.
couldn't buy anywhere on the street corner of Enterprise City, which is run by Cobra.
It's right there at the Snake Cafe gift store.
Yeah.
You can buy glossy headshots of Cobra Commander from his brilliant acting career.
I would argue that he probably is a big fan because the first song she sings is The Cobra That Got Away.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And he's an egomaniac and would probably love the fact that someone took the time to write a song about it.
But she wrote it about Destro. That's the part I don't understand.
No. Destro will call him away.
Yes.
She loves probably
Yes.
a soldier. And then when Destro says, show up, then
Yeah.
he's got to leave. And so that's why it's sad.
So she sings The Cobra That Got Away, and then a bunch of lady dancers come out and only do the can-can.
That's all they do. There's like
Yep.
7 of them. They're all dressed like Serpentor,
That
who isn't
is-
even a thing yet.
That is the worst dancing I have ever seen. Until Snake gets on stage.
I would say even better than Snake Eyes is breakdancing, which of course the ninja breakdances.
I mean-
You know what?
He-
Before we even
yes.
before we even get to that, people just need to know what we're talking about.
Cobra that got away changed my life one rainy day. On our first rendezvous, we held hands and I heard him say,
Held hands. That's
if you
classy. It's
want a
nice.
romance from me,
Good song.
you're barking up the wrong tree.
Possibly gay.
Destro has the first call on my life. Time and
See,
okay.
shots, Cobra fight. I'll go by day, go by night. Goodbye, miss, I've got to say.
Okay, hold on. It seems a lot more likely now that in fact the guy she's into is gay. And Destro is saying, like, you gotta go. And it's like, oh, sorry, baby, I just gotta.
No, I actually just think it's sad that no Cobra soldiers can have real relationships.
It is sad.
Because they have to be at the beck and call.
Stick close to me.
Also,
It's a lot like working in television.
Let's note at this point that clearly she was lip syncing that entire thing.
Oh, yes.
She wasn't able
Right.
to speak to him.
Right.
Well, it's because she stops to speak to him, and then her voice is still heard singing in the background of the song. So I give her actually
God.
credit for being her own backup singer
Yeah.
as it goes. But the thing that kind of annoyed me about this, and I think
That it's like 12 minutes long.
well, it's 100 minutes long for the episode. No, it's the fact that Colonel Slash, as we later find out his name is,
Yeah. I want to know if you get awesome names once you become an officer,
Or they specifically recruit people with awesome names.
that's entirely possible too. They just look through the phone book and like,
Yeah.
oh, Blood, we should hire
oh,
him.
and he's a major even. Yeah, we got to give this guy a call.
I feel like that's what they do with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because the guy who they hired to be Lance Hunter, his name is Nick Blood, which is easily as good as his fake name.
There's
his
also-
real name is just as...
Well, there's also Mayor Blood on Arrow.
Oh, yeah. Well,
I wonder
yeah,
if it's the
but
same
he's-
guy.
Yeah, he's from the comic books.
Right, but there's still a lot of guys named Blood. I've never met one person named Blood.
I've met some wrestlers whose name was Blood.
Okay. Well,
I don't know if
we
that
should
counts.
I would say we should check a White Pages, except they don't exist anymore.
No, they do not.
The thing that annoyed me about this scene is that her grand plan for escaping all of the Cobra guys is to drag the good guys up on stage in front of everyone,
Right.
and
Yep.
make them
Totally
dance for a
normal.
while because she assumes, oh, they won't break us up in the middle of a performance.
Well, this is what upsets me about it is Colonel Slash. I have a strong code of ethics and conduct. He says, wait till the song is over, then grab him. And then 3 seconds later, he tries to grab him during the dance number.
It was a fake
The song
out.
is still going on.
I mean, to
he
be
doesn't
fair,
care about the dancing.
the song was at 142 minutes, so it seemed like it was going to be a thing, and they needed to do something about it.
one more time, the Cobra that got away.
And then if you listen, you can hear the track just like repeat,
Yeah.
like it stopped and completely restart. It's-
But then it seems like Snake isn't on board with the dancing until Shipwreck is like, come on, man, get into it. And then he immediately busts out the only good moves in this dance.
Yeah.
I would disagree with that 100%. Better than Snake Eyes dance moves, the Wolf, Timber, who's up on stage dancing in rhythm to the song.
Yeah,
True.
yeah. I would argue
We've
with that.
established that Wolf can do anything.
That Wolf can work a pump wagon. He can break dance.
I also like that the other club patrons don't seem to mind. Like they're still at their tables going about their hushed conversations.
Yeah. Have you never done an open mic?
I was gonna
or,
say,
like, done a show in a bar.
They're enjoying it the
Or-
same way hecklers get enjoyed by an audience. For like 5 seconds, it's funny, and then it gets really, really annoying.
They don't even seem to take notice. They're just like, oh, there's probably going to be some violence. It makes me wonder how many times this has happened in this club.
I mean-
that a Timberwolf, a parrot, a ninja,
in
a
a
guy
city,
wearing a
in a city run by
sailor
Cobra.
hat.
I gotta
Probably a
think
lot.
pretty regularly.
Probably a lot.
Yeah.
So she drags them off stage, and then the soldiers follow. The Cobra soldiers follow. One of them apparently bumps a lady dancer, and she says, "Don't get fresh with me, you bum."
Bum is the
Because
choice.
it's 1934.
The choice insult for ladies in the G.I. Joe universe.
Well, I wanted to see more of her story. Like, I want to follow her from the club when she goes home, and like her husband is at home, and he's like, "How was work today?" And she's like, "Some bum bumped into me, tried to get fresh with me."
He tried to touch my gams, see? But they're getting a little bit ahead right there because we have to cut back to our favorite G.I. Joe moment. We got Flint and Lady J are now out of the bubble, and they're attacking Destro. They're sneaking up on Destro, and we only know this because Cobra Commander is communicating with Destro with an old-timey TV.
Yeah, I noticed that. I loved seeing that as they were running away. Just the TV sitting in the middle of a volcanic
TV
field.
from the 1950s is Cobra's choice communication device.
I mean,
It makes sense to me. He does have a flair for the dramatic.
it's pretty classy.
That's a
I'm not
fact.
gonna lie.
He probably sends his henchmen out to the the different garage sales around town every week and says, "Listen, get me some old tech."
Repurposes old.
Yeah.
That's nice. It's
I like it.
Refinishing an old table.
Yeah, I like it. It's much better.
Got to use all the buffalo. That's all I'm saying.
Exactly.
So the G.I. Joes are now like they're air striking on the cube. They're just trying to shoot this darn cube every which way to Sunday.
Yep. They can't do anything though because there are octopus arms on it.
There's cube tentacles.
Oh, yeah.
As I've got written here, and not only cube tentacles that spawned their own laser guns.
Yeah, makes sense.
I gotta think if you're trying to protect a giant cube, there's more effective ways than pulling out tentacles holding laser rifles.
I mean, again, he has a flair for the dramatic.
You could have built the laser rifles into the tentacles.
That's what I was thinking. Why aren't the lasers in the tentacles? Wouldn't that just be easier to design?
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, you do want a couple of tentacles to pull off bombs and such.
But this makes sense,
Correct.
though, if you think that he is getting all of this weapon tech from garage sales because he works with
do
what
people
he can
have
find.
octopus arms generally?
I mean, they have things that you can repurpose into octopus tentacles, I'm sure.
Name me anything that can be repurposed into an octopus tentacle.
Let me check some
PVC
Japanese hentai sites, and I'll get back to you on that, Chan.
I would say PVC piping.
Okay, hold it. A,
Yes.
that's stiff, and you can't move around
I
like
know,
that.
but-
B, people don't cosplay as Urutsuku Doji. That is not a thing people do. I have never seen that at any con I've ever been to.
You're not going to the right ones.
Also, I'm assuming that Cobra has something that can make metal malleable, in which case you can take anything at a garage sale and make it into a tentacle arm.
How about this? A slinky.
There you go.
Boom. Mind blown.
Are you really going to mount a laser rifle at the end of a slinky?
I think Cobra
I
would.
would.
You know what? I can't argue that. That makes sense.
So this does take us back to the club where to get caught back up. Maybe the greatest moment outside of the 39-hour Satin Marathon musical number is Polly apparently has been reading Shakespeare. They're trying to hide in the dressing room, and all the world's a stage.
Why are you all quiet looking at me? Like
I'm waiting for you to say something about the fact that this is the second time that Shipwreck clamps Polly's beak shut. Since you were so offended by it the first time he did it.
I mean, the first time they were underwater, and that's fucked up. This time, it's just like,
They're trying to hide, and Polly won't shut up about Shakespeare.
So you agree with abusing animals as long as they're responsible for blowing your cover.
It just seems like that. Polly brought it on himself. And I would say that this is unrealistic, because I know people. I have friends that would absolutely be this way. We'd be like trying to sneak away from someone who's like, hey, let me show you how awesome, let me show you how smart I am. Let me show you my Shakespeare moves. It is entirely possible that I might be one of those people. I'm not going to.
So when we go on the stealth mission, Gina, we're not bringing Chan.
Right.
See, I can be quiet,
behind.
but like if there's, see, that's the thing, is that I wouldn't insert it inorganically into the situation.
Of course not.
What did that have to do? What did Shakespeare have to do with anything?
I mean, he was backstage.
Yeah, but it was.
Look, Polly's been sitting on this killer Shakespeare pun for a while. Not even a pun, really, just a reference. His reference level is high.
He probably thought about it while they were dancing, and this was the first time that he got to make that reference.
I got to work it in before we're off this stage.
Yeah.
You know
because
what?
if he brings it up later, they would not appreciate it.
Now that we have gone through the chain of logic on this, I'm all right with it.
We're on board.
I'm okay with it. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
I just like the idea that like Polly would be sitting there like when they're off duty with like a smoking jacket and a pipe reading through Shakespeare.
Can I be honest? That is not the most obscure Shakespeare quote in the world.
That's true.
He's probably heard that plenty of places.
From who? Shipwreck?
I'm saying if he digs
probably-
into some Tempest shit,
Yeah.
Two Gentlemen of Verona, I'll be impressed.
Or he
All the
could
world's
just be
a stage,
watching a lot
come
of
on.
TV. I mean, they bring it up in pretty much
that's
every
a good
episode of
point.
every show ever.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Well, then let's just go ahead and leave Satin's dressing room for just a sec. And guys, we're finally going to rendezvous in the City of the Dead.
Finally.
We made it. It only took halfway through this episode.
It's too late. So now maybe we get 3. No, we already have 3 cubes, so I guess we're back on point with the titling.
3 cubes to darkness.
Do you know, I was waiting for the City of the Dead, and my notes are only City of the Dead finally. So many mustaches.
Yeah.
Well, I figure it's somewhere in like Mongolia or something, right? It looks
But
like a
not
Genghis
even-
Khan
No.
palace.
I just meant in general, actually, because there are a lot of people in this scene.
Gotcha.
And in the G.I. Joe universe that have mustaches.
Correctly so, might I point
It
out.
seems like it would be. It seems like you would rather be clean shaven.
This is the Magnum PI era.
That's
this
what
is
I
the
was thinking.
1980s.
I was thinking,
Manliness is
they're
denoted by
Magnum.
mustache.
I appreciate that this is a very important mission. There's a cube. It's we're literally, we know we're headed to the city of the dead, and G.I. Joe sends 9 dudes.
Yeah,
and
nine solid dudes.
Not only does G.I. Joe send 9 dudes, Cobra only sends 9 dudes. No. There are 9 people on either side of this entire battle.
There are rules of engagement.
Yeah,
there.
it makes you wonder if they worked this out in advance. Like, if they were just like, all right, let's talk about how we're going to do this so that it's fair.
There's probably a math to it. Like, okay, if we're going to be in a culture, a locale of cultural significance, archaeological finds, and what have you, then you can only have so many.
Because you don't want it to get out of hand.
I mean,
you don't want to
get
destroy
weird.
The clay warriors.
What if all the statues came to life and started attacking us with, fucking lightsabers and stuff? I mean, 9 dudes, plenty. So they decide to, because they know they're ahead of the Joes at this point, but they're not quite ready to set up position. So they hide their massive warehouse-sized cube somehow in this 1-2-room building. Yep. Yeah. And there's a quote here from Airtight, because they ask him, hey, Airtight, you're the nerd. Can you figure out if they're here yet? And I don't know if you happen to pull this quote, Chan, because it's one of the most jumbled. I want just your science take on it, being a science jerk.
Is this the first time we've seen this character?
It's the second. It's the first time, because remember, he was trying to multiply 9.2 times 5.0.
Right.
This is an important nerd calculation he had to make in the moment.
Yeah. I was trying to remember who he was.
I wrote...
Radioactive and metallic interference from mineral deposits make it impossible to tell if Cobra's already here or on the way.
Okay, I got to ask you about that. Radioactive and metallic interference from mineral deposits make it impossible to tell whether Cobra is already here or on the way.
That makes perfect sense to me. He can't sense any organic material in there because there's too much interference from the inorganic material.
I believe they're under a fucking mountain, so there you go.
Typically radioactive? I don't know much about mountains, I suppose.
I bet there could be some sort of lingering... I mean, especially if you need enough energy to reanimate the dead.
But it's a giant goddamn metallic cube. I mean, wouldn't the interference be from the cube itself?
Well, you know what? The glowing eyes on the clay robot thing suggest to me that they're filled with plutonium, and that's what powers them, so they're just surrounded basically... by awfulness.
In other words, every person in this scene is getting cancer. That's what I hear you saying.
Yeah.
Okay, just making clear on that. So, of course, all the statues come to life because, fuck yeah, of course they do.
Right.
First off, we have 9-foot clay golems of Mongolian warriors.
Before we get there,
yes,
I would like to say that I don't recall which came first. I love Tomex and Zaymot. I love the Beastie Boys, and I feel like that there's some sort of connection there. I'm not entirely clear how it works, but I mean, if you listen to the way they talk.
The Joes have unwittingly activated the Ancient Guardians. And when they have destroyed G.I. Joe for us, we shall plant our cube and be gone.
Right? Doesn't it feel kind of like the back and forth, and then the
I'm feeling a little intergalactic going on there.
Too smart.
Yeah.
You stick around and make it worth your while.
Except they weren't really rhyming.
Yeah.
Well,
it would have been awesome if they were, though.
I'm just saying that it's all of a piece.
Well, Roadblock is in this scene. You can't have more than one guy who rhymes in the same scene together.
True.
Because then a hole opens up in time and a wormhole effect or something. So the G.I. Joe triggers a pressure plate because of course they do.
Right. There's one pressure plate in that entire huge corridor. Dumbass.
And the Cobra guys were confident that they would step exactly on it.
Yep.
Sure.
Because they didn't.
They drove their entire warehouse-sized cube right over it. And one dumb asshole.
What is the logistics on this, though? One pressure plate somehow triggers them all to come to life?
I bet there were several. Peppered throughout. Yeah. And the Cobra guys knew exactly where they were.
How does the pressure plate cause them to come alive? That's the part I'm having a little bit of trouble understanding.
I mean, you turn it. There's an on switch and an off switch.
Just an on switch.
I mean, haven't you ever seen Indiana Jones?
The
friggin'
exactly like
boulder
Indiana Jones.
comes out.
Yeah, but
how does it know the boulder?
Well, that's probably because they step on it and it triggers a lever, which then opens a hole, so the boulder comes out. With here, it's literally their eyes turn red and then they attack.
It's the lever releases the souls.
Oh, you know what? Stand corrected. Now it makes sense. We have 9-foot Mongolian golems and skeleton dudes in helmets with lightsabers.
Which is more terrifying? Which would you rather face?
Oh, the golems seem a little easier to destroy.
Yeah.
And lightsabers would scare the piss out of me. At least I feel like I'm dealing with something like real.
But skeletons are, I feel like, very breakable, but also a more terrifying visual.
Well, the Crimson Twins, they shoot the laser pistols, and they laser pistol one of the skeletons in the head. It decapitates the skeleton, which continues to like smile and leer and laugh at them.
Oh, yeah.
As it's flying through the air.
These are Jason and the Argonaut rules.
Can we hold on just a moment? I was just like, this is important, I feel like, in terms of what we find frightening about these skeletal creatures. This is the sound they make.
Now that I listen to it, it actually sounds like a few little kids shouting into a can.
That is exactly what I thought about it.
I was going to say, no wonder I didn't want to go to kindergarten. I think that was the sound when you walk in the door on day one.
Yeah. It sounds like kids yelling into a can.
So what we're saying then is what G.I. Joe is about is a fear of becoming a parent. So there's just like a lot of
You're looking for a lot of deeper meanings in this episode, Jan.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I think there's a lot of philosophical
or entertainment value because that's not working out for me at all.
Hey, as long as you learn a little something about yourself.
No, this is a deconstruction of a cultural artifact from the 80s. Like, this is what America was about. This is what they're trying to indoctrinate their children with.
Okay. That makes sense.
Consider me indoctrinated because I still have no problem with anything that's happened this episode. It feels legit to me.
So they finally get to fight the undead in the City of the Dead. Would they be undead? I guess they'd be undead.
Well, they're not living.
Right.
I mean,
the skeletons were probably undead. The golems were probably like an artifice, a creation.
Yeah.
If I was going to break it down in nerd terms. Oh, jeez. So let's just get out of this scene right here before I out myself further. We go back to the Arctic, everybody, or the Antarctic, I guess it technically is. And I just want to say Bazooka. Zook, as he's known by Bazook. He gets credit. He might be the dumbest of all the G.I. Joes. He's the only one who dresses appropriately for the location that he's in. He's in the winter area wearing an actual jacket, not just rocking his football jersey.
Isn't there an Arctic dude?
There's Arctic troops.
No, like there's a guy who is dressed for Arctic weather.
Oh, sure, there's like Snow Job.
Yeah.
Snow Job?
Snow Job.
Sounds kind of sexual.
Yeah.
Probably not. Could you imagine having someone just rub a handful of snow on your junk?
Yes.
Does that sound sexual?
I was thinking of a blowjob in the snow.
That's still very uncomfortable. Somebody's got to pull their pants down. What happens after you're done? Your wet wiener is out in the cold.
Guys,
that is the most.
I could say is the one here from the Midwest. It's fantastic. I'll just put that out there.
I do not agree with that.
So great, your jizz freezes in midair on the way to her mouth.
Oh my god! So that's what they mean by frozen ropes. Anyway, everybody,
what is a frozen rope?
Don't worry about that. So Alpine has.
This is where he yodels.
This is where he yodels, and it's the most powerful force on the face of the earth. Oh, yeah.
But I like that he's done this enough that the other guy is like, hey, do that thing where you yodel an avalanche.
You know, when we're normally in the Arctic circumstances and we need to get up somewhere, just do that yodel trick, you know.
It's like, are you thinking what I'm thinking? Yeah, it's yodeling time. Like, how often have these two been in the same situation where...
Constantly.
How is one dude shouting more effective at creating an avalanche than... I don't know, a laser or any of the explosives that are on your belt?
It's the timbre of his voice, and then they don't have to waste any laser bullets.
The man has a skill, Chan. He knows how to do it. That's why he's being pimped to do it. It's like any improv show you've ever been a part of. If you have somebody that can do the windmill, you know somewhere during the show they're going to get pimped to do the windmill.
I wrote, I like that he knows the word crevasse. Because to me, that seems like a sophisticated word for G.I. Joes to use.
Not just hole in the ground.
Yeah. Like,
get to that ledge thing.
I think they need that specifically because... And here was the thing. Obviously, this entire thing is one big toy commercial.
Right.
We know that.
What?
But usually, they're a little better at hiding it and not being blatant. But then, like, oh, there's a crevasse. better get out the bridge layer, which for some reason we brought.
They brought because they knew about the yodel trick. It always leaves a crevasse.
It always leaves a okay.
And you need the bridge. And this is literally my note right here. I can just see in the writer's room, and all of a sudden that moment happens. They're like, we get to sell the bridge layer. We get to work in the bridge layer. This is the most exciting thing ever. And it happened organically, sort of.
Winter bonuses, everybody. That absolutely did not happen organically. That was like, dude, they just said that they're going to give us all like a $6,000 check if we figure how to put the bridge layer into an episode. All right, fuck, I don't know. Yell real loud and make a big old canyon, and then we'll just put the bridge layer over it. Done. I'm going to buy a pool.
So we lay the bridge, and they continue the assault on the cube, which brings us back to our favorite nightclub singer, Satin. Mm-hmm. Of course, her dressing room is spelled S-A-T-N.
But then when you zoom in closer on it, there is an I in there, because I thought the same thing.
Oh, so it's like the apple. It's just like the lowercase I. It's all small.
No, it was just like, it was very weird because I said, oh, S-A-T-N, and then when they go to open it, it's in small. It's all in smaller, thinner letters.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I think it was a mistake.
Oh, maybe it was one of those like things where you look at it from one angle and it's like the predator, and then the other side is the alien.
Yeah.
Or it's entirely possible that the previous occupant was the devil, and they're like, whatever, just pull off the A and just draw an I with crayon. Fuck it.
Well, this is what I don't understand. If she's such a big deal, how could they possibly spell her name wrong on the door? Like,
I think we need to go. We need to go back and examine that scene and see that there is an I, but it's only when it gets closer, and then also the lettering changes.
I don't care.
Font changes.
How many times I stare at this poster, I don't see the fucking dinosaur in the canoe. I'm sorry, I just don't see it. So Satin comes back with, I guess bum is a pretty fantastic insult for a lady to give to a dude, but she comes back with...
Hold on.
Oh, you got it queued up, Chan?
Of course I do.
Oh.
Where are those guys you were dancing with?
How should I know, you maxi jerk?
Yeah!
You maxi jerk.
You maxi jerk. It's
I
one thing to
like
be
it.
a jerk. It's another thing to be a maxi jerk.
I want to call someone that today.
Absolutely, you should do that. And the blank stares that you will receive will be your payment.
So Colonel Slash, he goes in there, and he's in there like a man. He's in there like,
Yeah.
You are not going to bullshit me. I am good. You were with those guys on stage. You took them backstage. I am here to get those guys. I work for Cobra, God damn it. And she just big times him, and he immediately folds the tent.
Immediately.
What power does she have over him other than an 8x11 glossy of Cobra Commander from the gift store?
I mean, I'm telling you, I think she was telling the truth. I think Cobra Commander has probably been humming her songs through the halls. And I think he digs that.
Do you think the cobra that got away?
I think he does. I think it was believable. I think like she kissed the 8x10 and then showed it to him, and he goes, "Oh crap."
Oh. I just don't see Cobra Commander working that way. I mean, he values his resources out there. He doesn't just, you don't just see him murder people willy-nilly because they piss him off. They piss him off. People betray Cobra Commander all the time.
I think he probably likes to relax every once in a while and go to the Snake Cafe.
Go to the Snake
He's
Cafe.
just slumming in the Snake
Yeah.
Cafe.
This is the other thing. If Cobra Commander's her biggest fan, why is she playing in this shithole, the Snake Club?
Again, that's not necessarily the case. That's what the Joes say. I believe that they are human garbage, and they're just walking around making judgments on everybody. Oh, what a slummy joint.
They can build snake fortresses, 4 cubes of darkness, infiltrate a space. They don't have the money to put a PR machine behind Satin and make her play stadiums.
I think he wants to keep her to himself.
Interesting.
I think he doesn't want her to get too big because then there's going to be other guys and maybe she'll get bored with him.
She's a side piece.
Mm-hmm.
Assuredly.
Yeah.
Assuredly.
You gotta keep it away from the Cobra wife.
Yeah.
Cobra Commander's
he
wife.
doesn't want the paparazzi to snap a photo of her.
I don't think Cobra Commander has a wife. I'll put that out there. I don't think he strikes me as the marrying kind.
I don't know. He
We'll
seems
find
exactly
out.
like
We'll
the sort
find
of
out
guy
at some
who
point.
has to go home and just get browbeaten by his wife.
So my favorite part of the scene is when Satin throws a lamp at Colonel Slash, which seems like an overreaction.
It's a diva move.
He's trying to be polite to her at that point, and she throws a lamp at him.
Well, she realizes he's going to fold, and she just needs to drive it home at that point, you know.
And then he thanks her,
Yeah.
which I like. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time. It's like any audition. Thank you.
Yeah, thank
Well,
you
I'll
for
be in
treating
touch.
me like crap.
But so Shipwreck Snake Eyes, the wolf, and the parrot were just hiding behind one of those Japanese paper wall things right there in the room. What are those called?
Japanese paper wall thing.
Okay, thank you. It's not exactly like it muffles sound or like you can't see under it. Because she just sort of like slides the thing aside and be like, there they are. Just in the room the whole time. So Colonel Slash obviously was starstruck.
Yeah.
That's what I got out of this.
She was wearing a revealing dress, so maybe he was, maybe he's one of those guys that like he doesn't know where to look. He wants to get out. He's getting nervous. He's got to just get out of there as fast as possible before he looks directly at her boobs.
Oh, and that's going to happen eventually with that low cut. Now, is she based on like an 80s like pop star or like I was trying to think about this because there's sort of like a
Jim.
Well, okay, yes.
I mean, she could be like a Debbie Harry type, I guess.
Yeah, I was trying to place it because she kind of has a little bit of a Madonna quality to her.
But also her music is Shirley Bassey, straight up.
Okay.
She's an amalgamation.
She's an amalgam of 80s side pieces. The world over. So they win the day there. So we go back to the Alpine, if you will, with Alpine, and his big sneak attack. It just doesn't make sense to me. It seems like they're doing a pretty good job just attacking from the front.
Right.
So him and Bazooka just decide to inexplicably climb the other side of the mountain and then go above the cube.
I'm going to say here that I don't like the fact that the bad guys' lasers are blue and the good guys' lasers are red because it goes against Star Wars universe logic, and I have a hard time keeping track of where those lasers are flying and coming from.
Maybe who is the bad guy?
Oh. That's the real
Cobra
twist.
brings order.
Yeah. That's
Also,
the real twist.
being as this is the 80s, I think it's pretty safe to say that the Democrats are evil, the Republicans are good.
But that's only a
Ronald
recent
Reagan,
thing, though.
Morales.
They used to alternate back and forth blue states and red states based on the election only until like fairly recently when they decided to make Republicans always red and Democrats always blue and like turn it into a thing that divides us, Chan. Just saying.
No, I'm 100% behind division.
Oh.
Splitting people up. Divide and conquer.
Well, speaking of dividing and conquering, so Alpine's shitty plan completely fails as he falls off the mountain onto a big thing of ice, and they're just left...
an ice slide.
An ice slide.
Which looked pretty fun. Like, in a different situation, I would bring all the Joes there and be like, all right, so this is what we found last time. Everyone down the slide.
This time without being shot at.
Yeah.
Preferably.
It'd be super fun.
Let's remember that military maneuvers, generally, by and large, are pretty fun and basically like a theme park. So sign up for the
That's a
Army.
good message.
I would have enlisted. If military life was like the G.I. Joe universe, I would have enlisted in like out of the third grade. I would have already gone in.
We can promise you one ice slide a month.
It would have been interesting to track children who watched that show that then went to the Army and see how many of them
disappointed they were.
They just had that image in the back of their head. Not like consciously. It's not consciously like, oh, this is going to be awesome. I'm going to fucking parachute out of planes when it gets shot down. It's a rule. But like way, way back deep down somewhere in there, there's just that memory of just like, yeah, military life must be pretty awesome.
Yeah, I just want to be like that one guy's been like, I can yodel like a mofo.
Yeah.
I'm going to get special treatment.
I'm going to get a parrot, and it's going to be fucking awesome.
So we go back to the City of the Dead, another rendezvous, if you will, and then a really inexplicable moment happens that I enjoyed very much. Roadblock and the crew make a really big deal about, this doesn't feel right, let's make sure we keep an eye behind us. And then they immediately get taken from behind.
Right.
As all of their troops are just being yoinked away.
They get Scooby-Doo'd like nobody's business.
I'm going to pull off the mask, and it turns out Tomax was Old Man Smithers from the abandoned mine. Yeah, he just says, make sure we look behind us. Immediately.
Yeah.
No one looks behind
And
them.
none of the guys that are being grabbed even try to yell out.
Nope.
No. They know they're done. They're the red shirts of the G.I. Joe universe. If you're a Cobra soldier, or if you're a green dude, like wearing the same outfit with the same, like, look, you are done.
That's one of my pet peeves about people who get Scooby-Doo'd, because even if you clap a hand over their mouth, you can still scream. I don't know if you guys have ever tested this out, but you can still scream with a hand over, unless they also get your nose. I think that's maybe harder, but
I mean, these are giant ceramic Mongolian warriors. So.
They don't look like they have a soft touch to them, though.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
that's
possible
true.
that just even touching you would knock you unconscious.
I wonder if like the Mongolian warriors, like once their job is done, if they're like, all right, well, I got to do this and that before we go back to sleep. I told my girlfriend I'd call her next time we woke up, so I should really do laundry too, since this was the only time in the next 1,000 years that we'll be awake.
Well, and this is maybe part of where I go back to, if you bring more than 9 dudes with you, this isn't a problem. Because they lose 6 of them like right there to those golems.
But then we would lose track of who's who, and I would forget names.
I still can't.
I have no idea. I have no idea.
I don't even know how that's possible to have gung-ho and shipwreck confused for each other.
Both water-based. Done. I'm sorry.
Both have blue in their outfit and a hat. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I don't get that one at all, Chan. So they have a big plan. Oh my God, these golems. We got to get. What's our big plan, Roadblock? Let's just run into this other room where the skeleton lightsaber battle's happening. That's safer. Mm-hmm. And yeah, of course, skull demons with lightsabers. Because fuck you. That's why.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if they're skeleton warriors or they're just reincarnated bowling pins.
They are 100% reincarnated bowling pins because Roadblock. I'm racist.
Wow.
I'm racist, everybody. No, Roadblock grabs a giant ball, shoots it off of a pillar, and then just inexplicably the strike sound happens as it takes them all out.
Yeah.
Also, good aim with that.
Makes sense to me.
I mean, I'm sure he's a fantastic. He probably bowls turkeys all the time.
But they're there for the cube, though. And the Crimson Twins, why are they like the zombie? Wouldn't you just sit back for a second and be like, well, maybe the zombies will do our jobs for us? Why are you immediately trying to kill the zombies who are trying to do your job for you?
I mean, you got to take care of one threat before you can move on to another.
Yeah, I mean, the control cube is going to cause some serious damage soon.
Yeah.
But those are skeleton zombies with laser swords.
Yeah.
I don't know. When I worked in an office, if I would have gone into work and there's a skeleton zombie with a laser working on my TPS reports for me, I'm not going to shoot him. I'll be like, cool, I'm going to go take a break.
But then you'd have to worry about him all day. Like at the vending machine, you'd be like, where's that skeleton? Or like in the bathroom, especially if you have to like poop. You can't poop because you're going to be like, what if I sit down to poop and then all of a sudden this
skeleton zombie comes in and he needs to poop.
Well, now I can't relax. Now my sphincter's never going to relax.
I can't relax trying to poop in public anyway. So, I mean, now I have that added to it. The twins, we get our inclination here. The twins can feel what the other one feels. And I'm not a twin. I don't think either of you are as well.
But it works.
Is that a thing? Is that real?
That's totally
I don't know. I get headaches sometimes, and I feel like, what if, like my twin brother's out there,
your secret twin,
being stabbed in the face or something.
Because we all have twins. There are people in this world that look exactly like us. Maybe in other countries, other parts of the world, just because of the natural random way genetics works. Each one of us probably has at least a dozen clones around the world. I know some of like artists are coming up with like art things of like finding these people and bringing them together and taking pictures of them, et cetera, et cetera. Is it possible that whenever like one of us gets a headache, it's just one of our body doubles somewhere in the other world like banged their head or something?
Probably.
Is that possible?
It's probable.
I think it's almost certainly the case. I have literally thought that ever since I started watching G.I.Joe back in the 80s.
I just made a really good point. I just can't believe it. Good job, me.
That's probably a good time to end all of this because we can never get higher than that.
You realize, of course, that you just repeated the thing that I said.
Yeah, but it sounded more authoritative when I said it, Chan. You got to understand how my brain works. I didn't process it until I said it out loud.
You just man talked over Chan.
I mansplained Chan.
You mansplained Chan.
And you know what? I've never been prouder. Last thought here is they talk about the ground shaking, and the Recondo makes a reference about
a $15 milkshake.
I heard a $50 milkshake.
Either way, this is still
how does that analogy work?
Before a $5 milkshake was a thing in Pulp Fiction, which means that like in terms of inflation, that's like a $300 milkshake. How is that even a thing?
And would that be more shaken? Like, that's what I don't understand. Like, do you just pay extra for them to shake it extra?
Yeah, you just want the guy who's making it to be super tired by the end. That's why you pay so much.
So you can enjoy the plebeian work?
Yeah, exactly.
Shaking the molecular bonds loose, and so that becomes something like, I don't know, a ham sandwich. I don't even understand.
And at this point, the cubes start activating everybody.
Of course,
the cubes start going up into the space, and Zartan's like cheering and throwing switches and having like a heavy metal show up there. It's pretty fantastic, which brings us back to the final scene already, guys. We go back to the Antarctic where Bazooka's hurt his leg. An actual injury on G.I. Joe. These people defy physical possibilities all day, every day, and Bazooka actually sprains his ankle.
The magic is wearing off, that means. But
here's my favorite part is after the initial thing where he drives the Alpine taxi service, His leg's fine, and it's never mentioned ever again in the entirety of the Pyramid of Darkness.
He no-sells the rest of the injury.
Yeah, he's like Wolverine. They're all like Wolverine.
They're all the Ultimate Warrior. They just no-sell everything that's happening. At which point Storm Shadow shows up. He was there the whole time, everybody.
Yeah, because he's dressed in white. You can't see him in there.
Couldn't see him. That's
he
racist.
just needs to close his eyes, and then he's...
Well, he could have gotten involved a little sooner than this, is all I'm trying to say.
he wanted to see which team he was going to join, I think, is what he
He's wearing a Cobra symbol.
I mean, he was laying back and was like, do I want to...
Well,
which do I...
You don't know that he didn't also have a Joe symbol. And it was
That's true. He just... exactly.
Cobra.
Exactly.
I mean, if Zartan can just pull off faces, I guess that's entirely in the world of possibility.
Yep.
So I will say that out of all the episodes so far, I had the highest hopes that this one would pass the Bechdel test because there were so many lady backup dancers.
There were so many.
And I thought surely at some point one of them might come in and say to Satin, like, hey, we're on in 5. And Satin would say, sure. And then that would pass the Bechdel
It would
test.
do it. Counts.
But it didn't.
Did not.
And the dancer was talking to the dude.
She was talking to the dude. The ladies in this episode were Lady J, Satin, and all the lady backup dancers, and they never spoke to each other.
That's a goddamn shame.
It is.
I was
To be
hoping.
fair, they were on stage, so it would have been weird.
Yeah, that's true. But at some point they were in that weird line, and all the Cobra guys were shoving through them backstage.
Is it possible that like one might have just like when they were shoving through, one could have possibly turned to a different one and just been like, "Can you believe that?"
Well,
well,
then they would be talking about the men, and then it still wouldn't have passed. But if one of them had been like, "Hey, how do you keep your shoes so shiny?" and she had been like, "Oh, I'll tell you I'll tell you later," like that would have passed.
If they sold G.I. Joe shoe polish, that absolutely would have been a thing they should have done.
To be fair, they could have included that scene in there, but then they would have cut down the Satin song by about 10 seconds
That's true.
from the 922 hours of length that it actually is. So the show wraps up. They're on the ice floe, and they shoot the lasers, and they say, "Don't worry, the waves will get them." And I'm like, what waves are you talking about? They're in the middle of a bunch of other ice cubes, no waves. But then, thankfully, leopard seals come to bail out that terrible theory.
Yeah.
The scariest thing in the world, leopard seals.
Seals, which are also leopards.
Yeah. Yeah. Scary but cuddly.
I think they're super cuddly. Even when they're barking,
Yeah.
I'd be like, I'd still try to
Hey,
hug them.
I've been
I
on
don't
board
care.
with all the animals that are supposed to be terrifying on this show from day one. I was bummed that the fatal fluffies weren't in this.
Are you hoping that the leopard seals will have cubs that will show up as they're trying to devour the G.I. Joes?
And they'll flop on their backs for a belly rub. Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to go ahead and spoil it. That does not happen in episode 4.
No.
Sorry, everybody. Sorry, but that does not
Why
happen.
are we even watching this show?
What are we doing? Well, excellent. Well, that's going to wrap it up right there. We're going to be back soon enough with episode 4 of The Pyramid of Darkness.
This is the last episode, right? Of this episode?
Yeah, that's the last scene. That's the last scene of the
there's
episode.
five.
There's
part
5 parts.
Part 5.
We got to wrap this up, you know. We don't.
I see.
It's 5 days in the week, so we got to have 5 episodes.
Oh, I get it.
Got to make it work. If you just ended on a Thursday, everybody would be all confused. Like, what is happening right now? But so anyway, that's the show, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. Got to plug some of the stuff that we plug, right? So you can find me on Twitter. I'm at Almighty Ray.
At 999 RPMs.
I'm at Gina Ippy.
Fantastic. And you can check us out online. Of course, you can go to knowingishalfthepodcast.com or facebook.com/knowingishalfthepodcast to check out all the neat stuff that we've been posting and links to the episodes and everything else that you'd want to see. As far as other stuff to plug, you can always check out my sports talk comedy show, and that's the Raisin Brent Show, and that's RayBrentPodcast.com. Search for us on iTunes or Stitcher Radio.
The Science Jerks is another wonderful podcast.
You do the Science Jerks, Chan.
Oh, what a coincidence.
Weird.
So you should listen to that too. Oh no, everybody! So is there going to be a crossover episode where you talk about the physics of G.I. Joe in a Science Jerks episode?
Are you
That's
mean
a
am I
good
going to have
idea.
either of you people on my
no, that's
much better podcast?
No,
Absolutely not.
absolutely that is
I've
not happening.
already been on it.
That's true. I knew that,
And I won the science quiz.
and I'm quite frankly too dumb to do anything other than just drool while you guys talk about science.
Yeah.
Oh, we're going to end this on a somber note. I like that. It's nice.
Guys, let's just reflect for a sec over what's just happened. Good night, everybody.